We're doing this series because we are committed as a church at these 4 initiatives, starting different Crossroads all over the region, starting CityLink, continuing that to happen, AIDS hospices, holistic care in South Africa, and rescuing girls from slavery in India and rehabilitating them to wholeness. This is core to who God has called us to. So we're today going to be talking about generosity, and we're going to be talking about financial generosity. When God gets a hold of your life, He takes you to a different court. You think about things differently. You simply do things differently. Generosity doesn't become something that can come and go. It becomes core to who you are. And as Demet is seeing, it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, but you see the hand of God show up. I want to encourage us to see the hand of God showing up today. And every generous person that we see in the Bible, every single one, and every generous person I've ever personally met, always has 3 characteristics that course through their veins. These 3 are always there, no exceptions. Number 1, generous people are methodical. What does it mean to be methodical? It means that you have a method to how you give. In the book of 1 Corinthians, again, these game changers at the church in Corinth, here's what it says. On the first day of every week, each one of you should set aside a sum of money in keeping with your income, saving it up so that when I come, no collections will have to be made. Now, the way they were meeting the needs of people, dispersing things, they didn't have wire transfers back then. They didn't even have checks. So as they would come and make their routes around, they would need to have a sum of money to get ministry done. And so the Apostle Paul, in speaking to this church, says, be methodical about it. Nothing that is important to us do we ever lead to chance. We have a method for it, a way to figure it out. Every generous person is also sacrificial. Sacrificial. Being sacrificial doesn't mean God has stripped everything from you and you have absolutely nothing. It means simply that there are things that you could have that you don't have. Sacrifice is whenever you have strategically gone without something to be generous someplace else. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1 to 3, it says this. We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that's been given among the churches of Macedonia, other game changers. For in a severe test of affliction, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of their generosity. For they gave according to their means, as I can testify, and beyond their means of their own accord. So of their own accord, no fair share saying this is what you have to do, no fair share, some manager at corporate telling you what your fair share is of your accord to hit United Way minimums. No. Of their own accord, they methodically figured out what to do, and they not only gave according to their means, but beyond their means. Every generous person is methodical, is sacrificial, and here's the weird one, is cheerful. Here's what the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 9 says. Each one must give as he's decided in his heart. Decided in his heart between you and God, your own method, your own sacrifices. Each one has decided in his own heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion. We're coaching, we're challenging. We're not compulsing and making anybody do anything. It's between you and God. For God loves a cheerful giver. I never really understood this verse until I took a look at it in context. You can kind of pull any verse out of the Bible and make it say whatever you want. Most of the time, you got to look at it in context. Look at the context of this verse, the very next section. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things, you may abound in every good work. So how is it that you can be cheerful when you're methodical and sacrificial? Well, part of the answer is here. Part of the reason why you're cheerful is because you get more grace from God. God makes all grace abound. It's true. And part of why you're cheerful too, and I want to awaken some of you to this, just notice. Don't you notice? You play at a higher level. You just do. And this grace comes your way, and you're on the level, and you've got the values of Jesus coursing through your veins. You play at a higher level. You just do. You interpret events differently. You see people differently. You have an inner strength that you didn't have before. One of the things that we know physiologically is that we need a certain amount of stress to get stronger. We know that. I mean, if you're going to work out, if you're doing a little push-ups here, you're trying to get You're putting resistance on your muscles. You're putting stress on your muscles. I mean, this is what generosity does. It puts an appropriate level of stress in the system to grow us. It puts appropriate level of stuff that actually makes us stronger, that elevates our game. This is what growth looks like. These kind of conversations, these kind of choices, this is what growth looks like. And it looks like going before God and saying, God, I just want to be with you. I don't necessarily want to pay for things. I don't necessarily want this or that. I just want to hear from you. I want you to lead me.